Hi guys, I hope you're well and keeping well. Today I want to be a bit vulnerable and share with you my condition. I know many people have asked me what I'm suffering from, but I wasn't ready to say it. So today is actually a day where I decided to talk about it, to be vulnerable. Acceptance has been hard, still struggling with that. But today I promised myself to record a video to share with you the health struggle. And on that note, it's not my condition. No, I don't want to own it. It's a condition. I don't want to own it and then everything about me will be the condition. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. And we have Mike on set because he's seen everything unfolding for all those years. And we can share a little bit about the disease because there are others outside there who are suffering and they don't know about it. So today we're sharing the information and how I try to manage it right now with the doctors. Yeah. So welcome, Mike.
Thank you very much. And I'm happy to be here to support Kathy as she shares her experience. I'll probably be sharing from the perspective of a partner, a caregiver, because I've seen her, I've watched her through this journey. And just to share what it's been like, so I hope we have an interesting conversation because it's a fairly new area. I'm sure most people don't have much information about it. I hope it will be informative and useful to most of you guys who view and follow Kathy.
Yeah, so thank you for being here. I know this is not an easy video to record. Even when I'm sick, people don't know what it is because acceptance has been hard for me. But I've been suffering from an autoimmune condition called fibromyalgia. It's a chronic neurological disorder. Allow me to read so that you get the science behind it. That causes widespread pain, fatigue, sleep disturbances, and cognitive difficulties. It affects how the brain signal, making even every mild move is painful. So that's why it's called a painful disorder. It affects the muscles, and it took us time before we found out what it is. It's not something that here in Kenya or all over the world, I think it's new. It's a new condition, and people are really trying to get a solution. But right now, as I speak, there's no cure. I just have to live with the condition and find ways for me to be able to manage it. So that's what I'm suffering from. And today, I really told myself, I have to share because I felt like, I'm between the people outside there who are struggling. It took a very, very long time before the doctors could identify what it is. And it started for me with pain in my joints and then chronic insomnia. And it took a lot of tests because diagnosis is not easy. So it's a disease that also requires multidisciplinary approach where how can I say it again? Multidisciplinary approach. Guy, Jesus. A multidisciplinary approach where it's a team of doctors who are able to help you manage it. And it's not a cheap disease because you have a lot of flare-ups, and it's also something, even as a doctor was finding out and diagnosing, he told me that, it's going to be an expensive affair because the medicines are not cheap, and also the ups and downs, because sometimes you will flare up depending on the situation, and then you'll be admitted. And so it's quite an expensive disease to manage. Maybe Mike's perspective.
Yeah, I think from an observer's point, having observed my partner go through this journey, first of all, the lack of widespread knowledge about the disease is not the most common of diseases, makes the diagnostics, the whole process a bit more complex. It takes a bit of time to zero in on it. And I want to imagine that unless you have access to really good medical support, it could take you a very long time to actually get to the bottom of it and to actually understand what you're suffering from. The problem with the disease is that it's very it's crippling. It's in very many ways it limits the ability of an individual to to maintain their routine, to do the things they like to do, the normal things they love to do. And then you have other very invasive symptoms. Invasive, I don't know whether that's the right word, but insomnia, for example, if you don't sleep well, it affects your whole body. Then you end up with mental fog. You cannot concentrate. You're irritable. And all that. So you notice your partner experiencing certain difficulties. Kathy, somebody who has been very sharp. Things like numbers, she never used to write any numbers anywhere. She would memorize hundreds of telephone numbers or any other number. Offhand, she would be able to tell them, very, very sharp memory, would remember everything, and then suddenly you'd begin to notice that ability is going, mental fog is kicking in. Then you start noticing her emotional bandwidth is reducing. Then you wonder why. Then the issue of just being weak, being unable to get up and do the things that she loves to do, just joy out of life. So very, very drastic changes that are totally unrelated. And so you find yourself just wondering and fumbling in the dark, wondering, okay, so what is going on? You can tell everything is not okay, but you don't know exactly what it is because the symptoms are not typical, other than the pain, which is standard, and never stopping pain, never ending pain, which obviously is quite crippling. Other things like emotional fog, you notice that starting and increasing, and you're like, okay, what is going on? The insomnia, they're just conditions that really affect her day-to-day life and her whole persona. And they just increase with time.
Yeah, that's true. I call it the disease that, you sleep and then you wake up and you wonder what's happened to your body. Before we were able to get the diagnosis, we had traveled to many countries, India, Thailand, South Africa, Dubai. We really, really tried our best to find out what the reason is and why I'm the way I am. Like Mike said, I'm a person who's very motivated, who loves doing things. I'm fast. Numbers, I was getting it, everything. So now moving from that to someone who now I forget things. The pain, the throbbing pain, the muscle aches. So that's why it's called a painful disorder. So some of the symptoms would be, let me read them for you. It's widespread muscle pain, persistent fatigue and exhaustion. Sorry guys, this is a hard video for me. Persistent fatigue and exhaustion, fibrofog, memory and concentration issues, sleep disturbances, and non-restorative sleep. I can't tell you guys how I would love to sleep without being induced. Even if I sleep for 3 hours without medicine, that will be a wonderful, wonderful miracle. But we keep the faith and keep hoping. You have days like yesterday for me, I didn't sleep, but I still wake up the next day and function. So it requires a lot of self-motivation. It requires a lot of push because giving up is very easy. Yeah, and then the mood changes. Imagine having not slept for 1 or 2 days. I haven't slept on my own for 5 years. So you can imagine the irritability, the mood changes, the depression, the anxiety that you have because you're not resting. So I'm not rejuvenating my body and healing. And then we also have digestive issues, constipation, shakes, sometimes I'm not able to even write a check or I'm not able to write something. This is from someone who enjoys writing. And if I say so myself, I had a wonderful handwriting. But nowadays I cannot write. So I have to give Mike to write and to sign the check. And I continue. I think even people in my office don't know, when the days I'm shaking, or I try to just maintain and try to live with it. I can tell you it's not been easy. It requires a lot of mental push, mental motivation. I personally stay away from painkillers, so I just manage my pain. Yeah, because then you're afraid of getting addicted to painkillers. And the biggest thing about this disease is the muscle pain. So what I do is I try to exercise. I try to eat right. But there are days, I'm telling you, it's difficult. And sometimes I don't even want people around me to see it, even him, because it's then they'll start panicking, the kids and everyone else. And also the number of admissions in hospital, I always laugh that I have a room in Aga Khan where I check myself in and check myself out. Sometimes he's not there and I don't tell him because I don't want to keep on making people worry. So it's a disease that you have to just manage. There is no cure as of now. I'd say as a doctor, we're diagnosing it. It's also a genetic condition. It can be passed down through genetics. Then also another thing I've forgotten is you have a low immune system, so you can't catch anything, and very little infection can put you down. I think today that's it. I didn't want to go too deep into it because it's very, very difficult. But I let him maybe give his opinion, which maybe I didn't know because I'm struggling on my side. So really, I don't know what the people around me are feeling. So maybe you could tell us how it has been for you for those 5 years.
Yeah, so I guess as the disease progresses, there are certain areas of impact that become significant, and which as one's partner or caregiver, one has to be aware of and begin to manage, from the background. The issue of chronic pain is obviously a problem because watching somebody you love or care for, whether it's a spouse or a child or a parent, in constant pain, it's a problem for anyone, unless you're extremely insensitive as a person. And therefore just learning to support them to manage the pain, whether it's ensuring the medication is always available, avoiding triggers that would, trigger the pain, like manual work and stuff like that. So I have to be very aware of the impact of chronic pain because it is a constant. And sometimes when it is at its worst, she can't even move. She'll be sitting in one position. It's like when you have a severe stomachache and then you find like a position where it's cooling down. You don't even to move, even to sneeze, you just to sit there, just to enjoy that little comfort that you're getting. Such is the pain that comes with fibromyalgia. Then, of course, the sleep disturbance, that's the other big one, because we all know you feel like you'll go mad if you don't sleep. She says that I'm one of the chosen ones.
Yeah.
Because for me, falling asleep is not a big deal. I'm able to fall asleep virtually anywhere. My body operates in a certain way. She has a bio clock at a certain time. I'll feel sleepy. And at the drop of a hat, I'll be gone. I might not sleep for very many hours, but I'm able to get deep sleep and wake up and I'm fresh. Unlike somebody who is suffering from fibromyalgia, they can go. I remember this one time we went to South Africa and one of their, because we've tried many things.
Yeah, we tried CBT, that's cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah. Then one doctor recommended what they call Turkey, where you just go, you just push your body until now it collapses and naturally shuts down. We tried that. Kathy went for 3 days, day and night, no sleep, and she looked like she was going to go mad, So, sleep is such a significant thing in one's life. You just don't realize it until you're deprived of it.
Even if I would get 30 minutes of sleep. Now imagine you have a partner like this. Yeah. Then every night you're looking at him, they're snoring. Sometimes I want to hit him. I'm like, I'm suffering. Wewe unangorota tu hapa na mimi ninakaa awake mpaka asubuhi. So yeah, also.
But then you learn how to deal with that. Definitely,
you learn, and you totally have to understand that really, if he doesn't sleep and keep up, now who is going? How are we going to survive? You understand?
Yeah, but also then as a caregiver or partner, then you find that you get to appreciate how precious the sleep is. So if Kathy falls asleep on the couch, I will not wake her up. I'll cover her and mobilize everybody away from her. Let her get those 2-3 hours of sleep. If I happen to come home and I find she has slept, I will leave her up to go and sleep in a different bedroom to give her peace. Because I know once I wake her up, she will not be able to sleep. Sleep becomes such a precious thing because the deprivation of it is actually disastrous. I think the other thing that is very prominent is just a cognitive fog.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if there's one person who I know has a sharp mind, it is Kathy. Whether it
Observe
is
everything.
faces, remembering numbers, remembering things, events, what, she's razor sharp. And I see that being eroded to a point where now I have to make a conscious effort to put in safeguards. So important things are not forgotten. And if she has a significant activity that is to be done, I'll probably put a reminder for her or make a point of calling her, to remind her or have somebody around her to remind her, offload stuff from her plate.
Which I don't like.
And of course, Kathy being who she is, that she doesn't like.
Yeah, I do
she wants to
everything I have
continue
to
doing
do.
everything.
Yeah, because I exercise the muscle. So for me, I don't feel like it's a solution to do less. I know that I push myself. I have not learned to manage myself because I will push myself one day and then I'll be down for another 3 days. And so I'm learning. It's a constant fight between me and him. Like, why do you have to go so hard on one day? Go and shoot one video and come home. But who am I? I'll shoot 4 or 5.
Then it's counterproductive.
Yeah, then for the
you go
rest
down for
of the week,
as many days. Yeah.
I am down.
Yeah.
And,
So
sorry. And like he just said, the treatment is being self-aware. It's about self-care, a reliable system, trying to come up with a routine, and then long-term management. There's one thing that I've noticed is that, when you don't sleep, you lose patience. You get angry very fast. You get irritable. So that's why you see sometimes I will stay away from people because I don't want to be among people and then I'm irritable. Then I end up hurting someone's feelings. So what do? You stay away. You keep yourself at home and stay away from people. And it's something he's noticed. I think for the last maybe 2 years, I've really kept to myself. This is when at least I'm able to go somewhere. I remember even for date night, he would book date night. By the time he comes home, hakuna date, imeisha. Because you can imagine going out with people, they're having fun, they're enjoying, they're dancing, they're drinking. Then you look at them and you realize, tukitoka hapo anaenda kulala na mimi naenda kuwa macho. So what do? I make sure I'm home by 6 o'clock, like a chicken, so that, and you avoid social settings because that's the thought. As you see the sun going down, like at 6 p.m. when I see the sun going down, I start having anxiety because I know it's another night. And this might be a night with or without sleep. And so that anxiety is there. That's why you don't go anywhere. You don't go outside the house. You finish your work and you go home. But I'm trying to manage. He's really good at helping me to manage. But I can tell you the truth, I'm a very stubborn patient.
Yeah, that is true. And also even the whole issue of emotional strain, that's also another difficult area because I guess because of the constant pain and discomfort and all the inconveniences, the insomnia, the emotional bandwidth is significantly eroded so that even small things like just noises, she gets completely irritated. It could even be a child who is playing there, some little noise. So in fact, I've also now learned to sort of create a very silent environment around her because there are days she'll be on edge and get irritated by very small things. So emotionally is also difficult for the patient and also for people who are around them, especially if they don't get to understand, the experience and what the patient is going through. Of course, there's also social stigma. For example, there are employees who suffer from fibromyalgia, whatever strain of it. And at the workplace, they are labeled as skivers, lazy, all manner of names. Because for people who don't understand the nature of the disease and how crippling it is and how erratic it is, because you have a good day today and then tomorrow you're completely out. Totally illogical. And for somebody who doesn't understand the disease, they don't understand how come jana ulikuwa sawa sawa, leo uko mahututi, you must be pretending.
True. Even when you say, you know what, I book a shoot and I'm ready to go. Then in the morning I wake up and the pain is unbearable. So someone doesn't understand. Someone will say, madam is just canceling, madam is just late. And you sometimes just take it because someone doesn't understand. And it's been difficult from someone who used to come to work and shoot 8 reels when I had brand partnerships to someone who right now, when I shoot 2 videos, I'm done. It's been tough. And then also you have to run the business and take care of everything, look at all corners and all sides, otherwise we lose the plot. So it's not easy, but I am grateful for the support that he has. I know it's no one's fault. Like at the office, they don't know, so they don't understand. But at least today I've been able to talk about it. And I think for me, managing it is just more self-care, pacing myself. Diet also, you avoid anti-inflammatory. You make sure your diet is anti-inflammatory so that you don't have inflammation, because with the pain in the joints, you have enough inflammation. So if you eat foods that cause inflammation, then increase your pain levels. Another thing is sometimes it's so painful that you need steroids, and that's one of the things which I try to avoid. But sometimes you find, when you're admitted and you're down, the doctors have no choice. And you know what steroids do to you. Sometimes you can eat, you vomit, so many things. So yeah, that's the disease. I don't think there's anything that I'd say more to it. Today was just a soft landing. I'll maybe one of these days have the doctors on set to talk about it. I know in May it was fibromyalgia month. And there are many people who are suffering from autoimmune diseases. And it's not something that you can see, because outside when you look at me, I look okay. So it's not something that is obviously there. So sometimes even people say, you're pretending that it's painful. You're pretending that it's this and this. Sometimes I don't eat. I can spend 3 days without eating food, and that means, weight loss. That means I don't get the nutrients. But I try to make sure that I exercise, I eat well. But it depends on the days. I really push myself, so I need to learn how to pace myself. I think that's it for me when it comes to managing the disease.
Yeah, I think the thing about fibromyalgia is you just need to get to understand it. And if you're suffering from it, just be open enough to just share how you feel. Because then when people around you understand the nature of the disease, then they're able to support you better. They say that it's not life-threatening, and indeed directly it's not life-threatening, but the impact of it can lead to threat to life. So for example, depression is a very common outcome of this disease, because of the frustration, the loss of control, the social stigma, all those things put together, some patients just end up depressed. Yeah. And when you're depressed, there are no limits depending on how badly, how far your depression goes. It could even end up, in suicide and other things. So in as much as the disease itself is not directly life-threatening, the effects of it could lead to life-threatening circumstances. And therefore, it's just a question of understanding and support. If you're suffering from it, it's just a disease. No one wishes a disease on themselves. Yeah. Feel free, talk about it, at least to those who love and care. And for those of us who are around those who are suffering, whether you're an employer or family member, just extend grace and know that it is an experience you'll never know unless you experience it. And I'm always learning new things about the impact of this disease just by looking at my partner. Extend grace and, give the benefit of the doubt where you're in doubt. It is the only way that we can be able to support patients who are suffering from autoimmune disease. And I think it would be a good idea if you can invite a rheumatologist, have a session, discuss, the disease, and allow people out there to ask questions, either those who need to understand more or those who are living with it and are looking for help. I think it would be a great idea if you can do that.
Yeah, definitely I'd do that. And just to give you guys a brief on that, if you have one autoimmune disease, you can get another one. So there are people with multiple autoimmune diseases. So someone has fibromyalgia, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis. So it's a disease, if you don't manage, you can cross over. And for me, I really wouldn't want to get the lupus, so I really try to manage. And like he said, it's removing yourself from the dark. Currently I don't take depression medicine. I don't take painkillers. It takes you to be tough, because you're afraid if I start depending on them, then that's it, So I find joy in very simple things. And maybe people don't understand, I find joy in my chapati. I find joy in my shoes. I find joy in being grateful. You're just grateful that you're alive. Be positive. That's one thing he'll tell you. For me, positivity is everything. I always look at the brighter side of life. But I know that people who, might not be at this level. For me, it's just my personality and my push. I know there are people who are going through it. Actually, I'll invite some of the guests because it's a support group, which I've refused to join because for me, I don't want to be there pitting myself. Every day I wake up, I say, oh, God, why me? But why not you? And that's just life. And I even remember, was it last year? Last year, but one. I was driving and I shoot a blackout, and that was my first accident. And I'm still traumatized, but you keep trying. Again, cases when you go to ICU and you see people in machines and everything, and people in the morning come out and their body bags, and you really want to live. So, it's not easy. You push yourself. And if you do need therapy, please go do therapy. I'm talking to myself because but sometimes, some experiences are very traumatic. If you can see a therapist, it would help. Actually, most people are advised to do that, to avoid falling into depression, to avoid isolating yourself. I think I've isolated myself for the past 3-4 years. You will never see me anywhere. You'll never see me outside. It's just the office and home. So I really want to come out and be able to live a good quality of life.
Yeah, I think the disease, as you started by saying, it requires a multidisciplinary approach because you need more than one specialist. You need a psychiatrist to help you deal with your mental health issues if that has impacted. You need a counselor, to help you, develop coping mechanisms and be able to just talk and bounce off stuff from them. You need a rheumatologist because they're the ones who understand the disease and are able to deal with the fibromyalgia, whatever type of immune disease it is. You need a physician, depending on which other part of your body is manifesting with problems. So, you need all these specialists to work with you. But I think you can never really underrate the usefulness of a support group. Yes. Because within a support group, then you hear the people and the experiences. You get encouraged. You share experience. Maybe you've come up with a coping mechanism that has worked well for you. Someone benefits from the group. Somebody else has also done the same, and you pick something, and it encourages you, gives you the strength to continue. But I must commend you because you have this way of just bouncing back. I hats off. You're down, and as soon as you're out of it, you're back on the streets, doing what you do. I remember the other day when you were launching your 2.0. You were in ICU. From ICU, you went to the ward. From the hospital, that same day, you're launching the 2.2. And I'm like, you can't do this. And I remember how that discussion went, and I had to give in. And, so again, as a partner, I think that is also an area you have to be very understanding, being able to get the right balance between being a caregiver, being the one who sort of brings logic into this whole thing, but also not pushing your partner to a point where they also now feel crippled and like they are lesser of themselves. It's a very delicate balance, just being able to get the right sweet spot, as it were, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, as stubborn as I am.
But you have a way of bouncing back. You really are very positive. You're strong inside. And I think that's half the job done. I think actually with autoimmune, you've got to find the strength inside
you do.
to live, because if you don't,
Every day
you
in bed.
even showering, getting out of bed to
my
shower
God, guys. People
will be a
don't
task.
even have energy to shower.
You need to have the energy. You need to find it in yourself to bounce back, because even with all the love and care and good intention, nobody can do it for you. You've got to find it in you to do it.
Yeah, I have to do it for myself.
And that you do to a fault, I think.
Yeah, because
people tend to overdo it.
Because no one is coming to save you. You have to save yourself. And people have all kinds of disease. People have liver, kidney failure, dialysis, many things. So you look at it and say, you know what? Even I'm able to afford the medical care, which is not easy. So you try to be positive, and try to minimize the amount of drugs you take. Don't keep on piling unless it is necessary. So I think that's just, today is the vulnerability day. Another thing maybe why I resist the support group is because acceptance for me is hard. I've not fully accepted it, but it's work in progress. But I think it's a good idea. And also other patients who going through it, would be nice to hear their side of the story. Basically that is what I've been suffering from. Is out there, but here I am. You can do it. So anyone who has any autoimmune disease, be encouraged and be positive and stay positive. And like he said, it's not life-threatening, but the symptoms can be and can lead to many other things. And for someone like me who have other conditions like high blood pressure and all those stuff, I need to manage that before it now then affects me, and then there's autoimmune disease. So that's it. But all through it, I still manage to do my makeup, look nice, shop, dress up, shopping. Sometimes even you come from the ward like ICU and you ask him, what is my gift? I have an ICU gift, It is a way. Ladies, please don't sleep on it. Yeah. I'd like to ask you a question. Has it been hard? How has it been? I know as a man, unakaa ngumu, lakini how has it been? Have you been scared? I ask because I don't know, honestly. I've never asked him. It's the truth.
Yeah, it's true. Caregiving is tough. You talk to anybody who is a caregiver, and especially maybe people who have had the responsibility of looking after, say, cancer patients or any other terminally ill patients. It's a journey that is difficult because, one, you get frustrated because you're seeing this person who you care for in pain, they're suffering, and you're helpless. You're not able to, you don't have the solutions. You don't have a way out of it. So that does become frustrating for you. And then you have to also to put up a brave face, and so that you don't add, fire to the fire. You got to look strong and stay strong for them and guide them. But it is difficult because then you're also inside your suffering, and it can drain you unless you also find coping mechanisms. Be able to have a gauge to gauge how you're feeling, and if your cup is getting empty, find a way of refilling it. So that then it's like when you're flying, they always tell you fit your own oxygen mask before you feed that of an infant. Even if you're traveling with an infant, feed yours first. So if you as a caretaker, you're not able to look after your own physical and emotional well-being, then you can become a liability to the person you're looking after. But you have to stay strong. You have to be able to ride the waves. You have to also be very committed to the cause. Through the good days and the bad days, you've got to be the constant and keep encouraging. So it's not easy, but it's not impossible. I think you just need to have the will to do it. You just need to be committed, invested, and it can be done. But it's tough.
I know it is. But whenever you feel burnt out, feel free to do what men do. What do you want to do? Just do. I have no problem. Yeah, just do. If you feel it's too much, no problem.
It's never too much.
Just find a way, go somewhere. The problem is men don't share. Actually, I wonder, why don't men share? When men meet each other, why don't they share their problems? Jeff, could you tell me why? ati kukufa kimwanaume hapana. Sasa ukikufa sasa nani atanitunza? But tunaona sisi wanawake tunajua kuongea alafu inaisha, si ndio hivi? Sasa nyinyi mmeweka kwa roho, mmekaa tu ngumu kwa tu hapo, hata uongeleshi rafiki yako mwambie nasikia hivi, tuende boys night out. Okay, huyu anaendaga boys night out. Sasa unajua pia miaka endi sana, namfukuzaga aende, just to release. Unajua miaka pia imeenda. I'm joking guys. So Jeff, mbona mnakuwaga mmekaza?
It's how we are wired, I guess. Yeah.
But we can't change it. We can't change it. The boy child, why are you suffering in silence?
Well,
mtoke hapo nje, mseme, uongee, alafu urudi nyumbani.
Mseme ikutoke.
Sema ikutoke. Unajua pia, it's tough emotionally, it's tough financially. Yeah, so now if you do not take care of yourself, we'll take care of me. Yeah, so that's basically it. I managed to do the video without crying. I can't remember the last time I cried, maybe 4 years ago. How do you cry? Ladies, what makes how do we cry? Hata uliagi. Kwani hivi ni gangster. Habibi. Unajua kulia nasaidia, lakini watu kama mimi kulia nashindwa, na najaribu kufikiria kitu nilie haikuji.
Rebecca,
na postpone mpaka next week. Yeah.
You don't cry?
Yeah.
Oh Lord, so you're attracting all the tough women around you.
Lakini unajua, unajiambia gati sasa unasikia kulia alafu una postpone kesho. Kesho ikifika tena una postpone siku nyingine. Sasa kabla kama chozi tikakuja ijawa hata ile drip hivi.
It's good to be strong, but also it's good to be in touch with your emotions. I guess we all have different coping mechanisms.
Yeah, people like us, we
Crying may not be the only one.
Yeah, nitajaribu kulia, niteka chili kwa macho ama nikumbuke kitu shainifanyia, alafu niseme sasa uli.
You'll struggle to remember.
Hiyo memory ya makosa zako haiwezi toka. Hiyo iko intact. Nakumbuka mpaka siku, date, time, location, everything.
Iko kwa hard disk.
Yes, iko kwa hard disk. Yeah. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Today was a soft landing, nothing deep. And
it's introductory.
And thank you for understanding and the support. But yeah. Say bye to the guest.
Yep. Asanteni sana, and until next time, ciao.
Until next time. Yeah, he's part of FSM. Half FSM. Actually, it's his brand more than it is mine. Yeah, guys. So I would like to hear people out there who have autoimmune diseases. Please comment on this video. Let's interact and let's share tricks of the disease and how we can manage it, because every day is a learning experience.